folks don't feel comfortable with it. Kind of running late on that.
And this would allow 5 commissioners to attend a working group meeting, which I think was limited to the GCPC. but
Yeah.
there will probably eco bureaus in the future.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that means, I mean, right now we have 11 commissioners, so that would be. And. In the last year, we have successfully had. 5, 6 every single meeting anyhow, so it really would be, I mean. The holidays are coming up, so it'd be mostly like communicating if we need to reschedule a meeting because many people know that they will be unavailable to attend. So this is another nudge to, if you know you're gonna miss a meeting, shout it out, so that way if it's enough people that we wouldn't need a quorum, we could reschedule on time or cancel the meeting if we have to. Any other thoughts on this before we consider voting?
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I have no issue with it as recommended. Previous adjustments were really. Dictated by circumstances anyway.
If we come into that
I think-
circumstance again, we can always come back
And
and
always-
change it.
I figured as much, so yeah, I feel supportive.
Is there a motion?
I motion to accept the change
Yeah.
to 6.
Second,
Okay. Clear your mouths, everybody. Matt Colby,
yes,
Adam Budiker,
Yes.
Shannon Dyke,
Yes.
Adam Martinez.
Yes.
Mitchell Owens.
Yeah.
David Parkhurst.
Yes, whatever it is.
Heidi Brown,
Yes.
Terry Albright,
Yes.
Nadia Kane.
Yes.
Motion passes. And Heidi, the chair is open if you'd like.
That's a great point, that's a great point, I just kind of over at the table while we do the rest of the meeting.
Just reach down.
Don't worry about me. All right, well, sounds good. Thank you all for moving through that so quickly. We are on to the Sustainable Energy Utility Capstone Project, which is listed under Matt and Heidi. Last month, we had a visitor who proposed having the EC available to weigh in on various steps of the project. Would either of you like to update with anything while I go snack?
Matt might not know. I included Matt because I think he's the one that invited a Bethos member for it. Heidi emailed me, I think earlier this month, maybe the end of last month, and just provided some, language to give to, I think his name is Alex, to provide back to Alex. So I included that in the packet. Heidi, did you have anything else to say about that?
No, I guess the target goes to Alex.
All right, I guess did everybody have a chance to read this? So I don't know if it requires a vote, I'm happy to take a vote, but if everyone is favorable of sending this to Alex or has anything else to add, I can send it or Matt, you could send
I was
it.
gonna say, I don't even imagine that a vote is necessary. I mean, this is one of those things where they already had a project pretty well laid out. They wanted to know, they wanted more eyes on it to say, is there anything we're not thinking of? Is there anything on here you think is bad? And so I read Heidi's suggestions, and I think whether we send it to Alex or whether I direct him to look at our packet, I mean,
Yeah.
one way or another, they can see if they want to add any of that to their existing capstone project. So it's great that someone had feedback. I didn't really have much when I initially read it, but.
I mean, we already considered all that anyway, so.
Thank you for sending something.
Not a lot of consent about voting on it.
No, Matt will encourage Bethos to look at it or to Alex look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Do that.
Right.
And then.
No. And now.
Oh, no.
And now.
I expected that to be a lot later.
Do you want me to get out of the way? Do you have a preference?
No.
Okay.
Is now okay, or do you want someone to motion to move it on the agenda?
No.
It was just in case you were actively eating, I saw that.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Would you like the mouse? to go through?
You want us to get to the podium also?
Oh,
Be
yeah.
very formal.
Yeah.
Nadia is going to share, a president pizza. I think you remember we talked about it a couple months ago. It's like,
Yeah.
option to.
I think it's just, I think it's like
Well, that's everything we get to it. Okay, so just for some context, this is my senior thesis presentation. So, and I've only practiced it a handful of times.
Actually, you might be. So, how do I go back? That, it's gonna be right click previous, but you can just hit the left. Okay, the left one.
So you're gonna present this after this meeting? For
I'm gonna present this on December 5th at the O'Neill Honors Symposium.
Cool.
So this is part, you can volunteer to do the O'Neill Honors Program, and if you do that, you write a thesis and then you present it before you graduate, so. Yeah. All right, so. 50 years ago, when Congress passed the Clean Air Act, they imagined a future in which science would shape environmental protection. Today, political decisions and societal pressures still shape the air we breathe. Hi, my name is Nadia Kane. I am a senior graduating this semester with a Bachelor's of Science in Environmental Management, and today I will be talking about the socioeconomic and political drivers of Clean Air Act enforcement. Maybe. Yeah. So for a little bit of background, obviously you guys have somewhat of an education on this, but the Clean Air Act serves to regulate 6 criteria air pollutants called CAPs. It sets national ambient air quality standards for these pollutants, which are sulfur dioxide, nitrous oxides, particulate matter 2.5 microns in size, lead, ground level ozone, and carbon monoxide. It delegates most of the enforcement of these national ambient air quality standards to the states. However, 5% of enforcement is done at the federal level, and that is the focus of my thesis. It's also pertinent to know that the Clean Air Act sets standards for vehicles and fuel efficiency, but that is not what I focus on in this presentation. Oh, I know that. So when I decided I was going to focus on Clean Air Act enforcement, obviously I had to do a literature review. And I'm sure you won't be surprised to know that the literature is vastly contradictory across time, across space. So there are mixed results as to whether enforcement is affected by politics. There are results at local levels that suggest it is. There are results at state levels that suggest the EPA is resilient to outside forces. And there's not a lot about enforcement at the federal level, which is why I felt it was pertinent to focus on that thesis. So with this in mind, I ended up with the research question of what socioeconomic and political factors may have driven trends in federal Clean Air Act enforcement from 1989 to 2024. And I chose this time frame because 1989 is when my advisor and I felt the EPA had consistent and reliable data recorded, even though the Clean Air Act and EPA date back to 1970. So then I created a variety of hypotheses. So first I thought that Democratic presidential administrations and their EPA administrators would see more enforcement actions over time. It's also pertinent to note that I'm measuring 3 enforcement actions, so informal, formal, and inspections at the federal level. So I anticipated that Democrats would do more and Republicans would do less. I also anticipated that public policy mood and macro partisanship in the United States would correlate with enforcement trends. And then I was less certain about economic factors like GDP, unemployment, and EPA budget. So as I just mentioned, and sorry, that's just from conversion issues. My dependent variables are all included under the category of enforcement. So that is formal actions and inspections, like I said. And then my independent variables, there is no one independent variable. I kind of seek to discover what could be deemed the independent variable in this study by including a bunch of control variables in my model that I think may have possibly driven enforcement trends over time. So first, I did preliminary data analysis. I was just graphing things against each other in Excel, seeing if I could see trends visually. This isn't actually statistically sound. It was just to give me an idea of what I was doing. And it set me up for statistical regression, which is actually formal analysis and can allow you to draw conclusions. So with that being said, here are the beginning of the results. So I found that formal actions done by the federal EPA are significantly negatively correlated with public policy mood. So this means that as public policy mood becomes more liberal, formal actions actually decrease, which is contrary to what I expected. It also correlates slightly with the party of the president. And that number suggests that, once again, as liberal administrations do less. So actually, conservative administrations see more formal actions. On the contrary, informal actions show that Democrats do more informal actions. They are not as significantly correlated as informal actions, as you can see by the level of significance found there. But this was sort of the relationship I expected, and contrary to formal.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Can you remind me the difference between formal and informal actions?
Yeah, so informal is like, they'll just send a letter of, a notice of violation or
Okay.
something that doesn't actually demand remediation
Mhm.
or charging fines, say.
Sure.
Formal is like, okay, you've been notified, you're not doing anything, now we're gonna take actual actions, you're in our record book, stuff like that.
Sure.
And then finally, for inspections, inspections were also significantly negatively correlated with public policy mood and political party. So like informal actions, as the public is more liberal, and as administrations are more liberal, the number of inspections goes down. So this is also contrary to my anticipation that Democrats would see more enforcement actions. So there are a variety of reasons why I hypothesize this may be. For those statistical people in the room, you know that I can't draw causation from these results. It just means they correlate. So it's not necessarily saying that public policy mood or party of the president causes enforcement trends, but they do correlate. So it's something that should be explored further. So this might be due in part to historical party attributes. So Republicans typically favor law and order. They may focus their resources on more targeted, more formal enforcement. Whereas Democrats might focus on a more cooperative compliance strategy and focus more on outreach and education, therefore doing more informal actions. There also could be effects of certain presidents or administrations. So basically, does one president skew the data? And so basically, I ran a regression again and excluded one president at a time as the control with which every other president was compared to, and found that for inspections, the first Trump administration conducted significantly fewer inspections, which kind of skews that result to make it look like Democrats do more on average. So it's important to note that there could be significant effects from certain administrations that may have done significantly more or less. But like I said, I only found a questionable effect in inspections due to President Trump. I was gonna keep going. Also, public policy mood on enforcement. So as I suggested earlier, as it becomes more liberal, formal actions and inspections decrease. This could be because when the public feels more liberal, they feel less need for strict law and order type compliance, or they want to see the EPA focusing more on outreach and education and things like that. And then finally, I forgot to note, but EPA budget did correlate slightly with inspections. This may be because as EPA budget increases, they just have the capacity to do more inspections. Or it could be because the policy is more favorable towards mass inspections when EPA budget is higher and they're feeling more liberal about that resource use. So in conclusion, I have demonstrated that these three metrics of enforcement are significantly correlated with public policy mood, dummy for political party, and in one case, EPA budget. I cannot infer causality, like I said, but this is important because it sets grounds for future research that could help better understand what's actually causing trends in enforcement. This is important to understand because it speaks to the resilience and efficiency of not only the Clean Air Act, but environmental legislation at large. And in an era when we need updated environmental policy, it's very important to understand how effective enforcement is. So, thank you. Getting there.
Good job. That was good.
Thank you. Yes, questions? Oh, I have
Yes.
questions.
So just trying to wrap my head around the scope of where kind of the federal, because you said you're only looking at like federal
Yeah.
enforcement for the Clean Water Act, or for Clean Air Act.
Mhm.
I know for the Clean Water Act, if the federal government is doing enforcements, it's because a state has either said, no, pass, I don't feel like taking this on right now, which think only one or two states are still in that bucket, or the EPA has said. You guys are doing a bad job, we're taking this over.
Mhm.
Do you have any idea or sense of like? How that works in the Clean Air Act as well, and kind of like what the spatial spread, like where is federal enforcement happening and where, like both jurisdictionally and like spatially, if you will?
So you're right, they do take on cases that have either been brought to their attention by some sort of lobbyist group because it's causing significant problems at the state level. They also, if the EPA has an initiative under a certain administrator that it's like, we're gonna really go after like oil refineries.
Mhm.
And you might see an increased number of federal cases because they have a prerogative under that administration. I don't know exactly like geographically
Okay,
where the federal enforcement is concentrated, and I don't know if I could answer that question, but I will certainly try.
Yeah.
Before December 5th. Yeah. It's an interesting point, because my advisor and I were speaking and we both happened to come up with like, oh, if Texas is not complying or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and I think it would be interesting to see just kind of a mapping,
Yeah.
like,
my guess is. it would be-
especially if it's like a temporal shift of just like, they look at like. Like New Orleans, like Louisiana cancer, like got super hammered in like the late 2010s or something like
Yeah.
that versus
Mhm.
a single place getting looked at for that whole. 30-year period or whatnot.
Who is your advisor?
David Kaniski, he's the, I don't forget his official title, but he's like the head of all research at the O'Neill School of Public and Environmental Affairs, and he does a lot of research about Clean Air Act enforcement, so.
How do you get the information for that enforcement?
So the EPA has all their enforcement data on their website, so you can just Google EPA enforcement data and download those. I don't know what format they come in, but you can download them and then organize them with code or Excel or any of that, so they have all of that publicly available, so.
So you use presidential party for your. If you were to continue to do this, what would you change about the way you ask the method for asking the questions? Would you change anything, or are you confident?
Are you confident in your results?
Yeah,
I'm definitely confident in the fact that the things correlate, that I
Yeah.
said correlate,
it's there,
because
yeah,
Excel did that one.
but I mean,
But,
do you, like, would you ask the question in a different way?
yeah. It took me a very long time to narrow it down, because
Mhm.
I want to know what's causing it.
Mhm.
But I don't know if there's a way to do that,
Mhm.
like just with statistics.
Yeah.
And so I think the best I could do is maybe include more variables. But then you also get to a point where that's an issue as well. So. Yeah, I don't know, that's a hard question because,
So when you think about your result, like, because it's not what you would expect.
I guess that kind of indicates to me that it might not be as partisan as I anticipated it would be. And that they're not doing this or that because it's stereotypical of a certain party. It's either due to like resources or demand for certain enforcement.
So the head of the EPA is a political appointment by the president, is that correct?
Yes, it
But
is.
the enforcement, this happens is it at a political level?
So that's kind of an assumption that this model makes, is that this enforcement is happening under the directive of this administrator.
Yeah.
Who was appointed by this president. And that's one of the things in the literature that I stumbled across, is that there are people in the EPA who are there throughout that time, maybe for the whole 30 years,
Yeah.
and they're still doing the same level of enforcement. So it's kind of an assumption in my model that enforcement is like driven in part because of the directive of an administrator.
What if their behavior changes as a result of the
Yeah,
administration?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's possible.
Mhm.
Yeah, and like I said, there's conflicting literature that suggests that the EPA is resilient to those changes and resilient to budget changes. But there's also literature that suggests that at certain levels, enforcement is determined somewhat by like who your congressperson is, whether they're a Democrat or Republican, things like that, so. So basically, my advisor agrees is that this is not helpful in any sense. Like this agrees with the literature 100% in the sense that it does not determine anything and there are mixed results. So which was a bummer for me, and I'm thankful he knew that was gonna happen. And he hid that from me until I got the results, and then I just had to go with it, but
And it's interesting.
yeah,
really
it's interesting.
Yeah, it makes me wonder what, if it was, say, 70 to about 2016, if it would be different than, you know, the 89 through 2024, or whatever
Yeah.
the exact range was, because I think, while it's a little counterintuitive, it's interesting to think that if it was largely nonpartisan until a decade ago, that maybe it makes sense that actions would tick up during a Republican presidency, pushing certain. So maybe more drilling or more whatever the thing would be, then the EPA responds to that in a nonpartisan manner, so,
Yeah.
but. Yeah, until about a decade ago, when now all bets are off on the way
It's
that
also-
enforcement works.
Difficult because enforcement over time has decreased, like that is the
Mhm.
trend. Because it's more targeted, it's more efficient. And so like I mentioned, Trump did the fewest inspections under his administration, but Biden was the second fewest. So that kind of shows that like overall decline, but, yeah.
Yeah, I think kind of going off there and going back to it, I think it would be interesting if you were able to track like. Informal actions leading to formal actions, like being able to pair up, are these the same facilities getting like hammered over time? Like if they're getting the informal actions in one thing and then a formal action later on, then you can kind of. Potentially decouple that from the politics even more and just be able to say it's like, no, we just have a bad actor here and they're just repeatedly. Ignoring, getting told no and things
Yeah.
like that.
It's interesting.
And over time, I just summed all of the actions for each of those three
Mhm.
metrics for Democrat and Republicans. And Democratic administrations saw more overall, but on average, they did fewer per administration. Which was weird, but
So there's one administration that did a lot then.
that's what that suggests.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, like Liza, under Barack Obama, those preliminary graphs I was talking about, like her numbers were like spiked. And then they like dramatically dip under Trump, so it's, yeah.
Do you know,
I've been more partisan in the last 10 years, yeah.
do you know off the top of your head how many, I guess, terms of Republican versus Democrat there have been in this time period?
It's pretty equal,
Okay.
I know that. It's George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Obama, Biden, Trump, so it's pretty
Yeah, I
equal.
think those were all 2-term except for Biden and Trump.
NW or HW,
Yeah.
so it's like 4 more years of Republican and then Democrat in that
Mhm.
time roughly.
Yeah, so I hope this like gets your brains going, I think that's
Yeah.
the outcome. It's not.
Yeah, I love it, like, looking at that. Like, what if you have this table?
I know.
Out and this thing out, it's
I
like.
have a feeling that's gonna be
Unfortunate.
what happens on the day I present too,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna be like, I don't know what to get.
He's gonna keep adding data points until it like says what I want, which is like, yes.
Because at some point, if you have too many variables, your model won't explain it all.
Yeah.
correctly.
Skewing it.
And just to see who that is,
Yeah, okay, good stuff, thank you for doing that. Well, folks, we've come to the pinnacle of our meeting, which is super exciting. And that is when everybody can go get some more snacks from the table, and in the meantime, we're gonna do like our planning. So I sent through the slide deck that I shared with the common council a while back. And see if I can pick this back up. But basically, it includes the things that we're gonna cover today, which are talking about the goals we'll have for next year, reviewing kind of our 3 to 5 year priorities, and then kind of mapping through which working groups are going to tie into each of those goals to make sure we have the proper active working groups, and if there's anything that we're really missing out on, that we highlight that and figure out who is going to populate those subcommittees. So let me.
I'll bring it up, sorry.
Oh, would you do that?
But
No, that's totally fine. I didn't even think I was gonna need it, and I just realized I didn't have any of my old notes, but I'm gonna do. Oh, there's it on that, John. So what I was thinking is, this is what we did last year, and unless someone else is really excited to run the dry erase board. My terrible handwriting, no, okay. I figured what we could do is maybe start in the middle where we brainstorm the things that we'd like to do in this coming year. Actually, I'll write out the 3 to 5 year goals, brainstorm the things that we'd like to do in this coming year. Just whatever you're thinking, it doesn't have to be the final decision. It's really just to kind of make sure that there's stuff that's on your mind, ideas you've had, things we might have talked about a little bit, that we can highlight those. And then as a group, we'll talk through and just say which ones we think would be appropriate to prioritize. And then from there, kind of map out, okay, our working group subcommittees, where do they fit? What are the things that, we want to make sure are activated? That sound semi-clear to folks? Awesome. And do we have anybody online at this point? Rachel?
No.
Okay. Okay. So in our 3 to 5 year, unless one of you has it pulled up, and then you'd be super cool. Oh, there are faces. Oh, look at our faces, like, oh. Okay. So what we had for the 3 to 5 year plan as of last time was, just kind of reassessing how we think about our working group, social media strategy, and the onboarding process. Those are kind of like the ongoing things to make sure that they're working well for folks. And I think they're kind of, sort of evergreen in their own way. But then additionally, the 3 to 5 year things that we're talking about are trainings by or for EC members, such as presenting your senior thesis or having someone come in and talks about the Hoosier River Watch program, things like that. Connecting skills, community, and Bloomington environment. Also working through a water quality report for the city of Bloomington. Definitely something that is a longer term goal, not something we can really churn out in 8 months. That would support stream inventory, which would be part of the conversation around the UDO and things like that. And then city certifications, like the city and other things that might be a good fit for us, or renewing things like the Mayor's Monarch Pledge, things like that. And then lastly, seeking out funding, support, environmental activities or resources for what we can do here. So I'm going to. Right, yeah, write it real quickly. So we've got things like working groups. Somebody want to read the other bit to me real quick?
Social media
Thank you.
and onboarding.
Okay. And if you're a new commissioner and have feedback on the onboarding process, you feel free to reach out to Rachel and me and Adam and that, and let's know how you feel about it. Okay, and then, other activities are trainings.
Water quality report,
Perfect, amazing, so good. Water quality report,
board inventory,
awesome.
city certs,
Okay,
and supporting funding or seeking out funding.
nice. Yeah, so we talked about doing some great stuff. Great. Before we go forward, are there any major thoughts or concerns about these goals or anything that we didn't include on this? I know it's beautiful handwriting. Anything that we have been talking about a lot that is a more appropriate 3 to 5 year priority that is not on this list that would make sense for us to update? Or anything you want to remove? Yeah,
I have a question.
yeah.
About the water quality report. I thought it was like mandatory for cities or counties to do those, so what do you
Oh.
need?
Great question.
Is it?
Am I gonna say what that means?
I think that's a different thing.
Okay,
That's like drinking water.
okay,
I think so. This would be more of a, the way I envision it is akin to what the air quality working group did a few years back. It was like, what's the state of air quality monitoring in the city of Bloomington? What has that told us about the water quality? Or air quality. This would be the same for like in-street water quality.
Except you'd have a lot more data to use.
You'd think
I do think.
there's some data, but it's not that much. But yeah, basically pulling together all of the like in-stream water quality monitoring, what's happened in the city historically, and what does that tell us? And what does that not tell us? Because there hasn't really been any done since 2016.
so it's not like TMDLs and.
No, though we do technically have a TMDL in the city. But it would not be a part of that because we're only a little bit in that TMDL.
What is TMDL?
Total mass daily load, so it's something where if there's a place that is listed as impaired for whatever reason. They do calculations for it to try and figure out like, how do we get whatever pollutant we're concerned about under, basically a pollution budget. And the one that is in effect for Bloomington is like Salt Creek. But most of that is related to like Lawrence County, Bedford, because Clear Creek is listed as impaired, like all of the southern 2/3 of the city are basically listed as impaired from one sampling point that they took in 2016. It was a couple sampling points, but it wasn't that many. Because Salt Creek popped up as impaired and they sampled the whole watershed. So now Clear Creek is part of that, but it's a minor part. We're trying to kind of figure out the city on its own rather than just as a part of that broader network.
But to answer your question, what we're doing is kind of like a summary of the data we do have in a way that makes sense that we can present to council, that we can potentially share through the press release, whatever. It's hopefully a little bit more manageable for the average reader who's interested in knowing about the water quality.
Yeah, and potentially make a place for doing more kind of internal monitoring through the city and things like that, which,
I'm sure it's necessary.
yes, yeah. And I know that dovetails with what like utilities has been trying to do this year, doing some monitoring and stuff as well, so.
Are there any thoughts on this list? Shannon, I see a little twinkle in your head.
Well, I was sort of looking at Adam because I'm thinking, the light pollution thing.
Yeah.
Light pollution.
Yeah, so considering something about, is there any goal specifically that you would like to attach to, or just a directional priority?
I think if we were to have a goal, it would be kind of fall under this certifications thing with the dark sky, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we kind of settled on that being like like you said, a direction to move towards other than like striving for that specific.
Currently seems quite aspirational.
Okay. This sounds like maybe we will column of like whatever next steps are to keep that process going, might make sense then, and then add under the bucket of certs.
There's a little bit, right?
Yeah, I like to put this in. I'm just gonna write this here since it came up just now. I assume it's like dark sky.
Place.
City place.
I think Star Sky Place certification.
The org is dark sky international. I don't remember what exactly the certification is.
Do they keep adding?
It can be lots of things. Yeah, I think.
International. No.
And places is good, because not only do they just do cities, they'll do, they did an airport, they did.
Yeah.
Right, so it's a place, whatever.
Yes, the dark sky approved program.
Got it, okay.
Some mixed marketing there.
Just put all these words in a search engine, you're fine, you got it. Great, any other thoughts on the big picture stuff before we move into like the actual on the ground ideas for this coming year? I promise I'll try and get more electrically for this one.
Does water, like education, water, this, as far as like watershed education and.
Ooh.
I'm kind of interested in educating the public or more about which watershed are you in and what can you do to protect it, so. If there's a greater understanding there and there's more awareness of like what's going into the watershed. But of course, in the city, we're not in the drinking water watershed.
Yeah.
So where's the priority or the urgencies to like protect your watershed?
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Do you all feel like that is a 3 to 5 years or directional star? Or do you want to put that as like, it could be both, of course. Or do you want to do like bite-sized pieces? As that is, or do you want to do the bigger thing?
So that's related to the water quality report, is that the connection?
It sounds like it would be an addition to.
Yeah, so I think, so an education component, is that what you're suggesting? Yeah,
That's proposing.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I feel like they would fit with both the report and like the workshop training.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Have we ever gone to schools and talked to kids?
We've not done that.
Oh.
Table.
We've tabled at that STEM activity at Granby, maybe.
able to-
But even like up to 2 minute talk to a classroom
Yeah.
would be really beneficial.
Yeah, okay,
I also think of when you know that you're connected to this larger watershed system, that can be powerful.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I'm just gonna write.
Which is what you were saying.
like a dominant watershed, so.
Or, if you, I don't think people necessarily, the average person thinks about that they're in with, that they're connected to this larger watershed system, so.
I know.
And how
it's
what they
chosen.
put in their yard, in
Yeah.
their driveway, there's this watershed, it affects the creeks that the kids are playing in,
Yeah.
right down the road.
It'd be a good future eco-heroes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I added in-school presentation, so these are things that they do feed into that, but it would be more specific goals for this coming year. I have in-school presentations is one option that we might talk about, if you have watershed education, if we wanna, again, be more specific, like, build out materials, build out like. Kind of that strategy, like who are we trying to talk to, what are we trying to do, and it's more specific to this initiative, but it does go into the training side of things and water quality working group. That feel okay? Okay, well, I feel like we're kind of like edging into this section, so this is what we did last year. Look at all those wild things, most of them we have done, but some of them we have not done. Feel free to pull from this list, some of them make sense to recycle year over year. Some do not, and some are still lingering out there, so feel free to shout out ideas you have, I'm gonna write it down, we're just gonna brainstorm. And then we'll talk through what we think about that list.
Sorry, I was thinking if we could go full screen and not have this, but
Oh,
I
yeah, yeah.
can't figure it out. I'm sorry, it's cut off.
If you unpresent it, I can see most of the slide.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, and present it.
Yeah.
Sweet. See. Yeah,
I know it's a little smaller,
Sorry about
but
I might be able to zoom in a little bit. I can figure it out.
so what do we think? What are the things on your mind? I'm right, eco heroes, just to get really obvious.
Has the, establish an avenue for the public to bring environmental concerns to the EC petition, did that happen?
Not really, not in a
Okay.
formal way besides just the usual,
Okay.
meetings. Okay.
What kind of concerns are you thinking about?
It's basically, so if people have things that they want us to talk through in case we want to either support something, create a working group to dig into something more, or bring those thoughts or concerns to the council, that kind of thing, where if folks would like to bring it to us to have kind of a larger body supporting something or igniting something.
Could we just have like a form online that people could see it or not?
No,
No, I think the technical capabilities will be very specific, what we can and can't do as a city group. But that doesn't mean it's not possible, it's just, it won't be a simple thing, but it'd be something that we could totally prioritize if people wanna make sure we're doing something like that. It'd also just be an email to environment but that will use more time and resources from our wonderful city liaison, which, is something we always have to take into consideration.
I think it's tough too, because we would view that as a complaint, and so their enforcement automatically kicks in. Whereas, a suggestion to like the EC should look into this, it's the way, sometimes the way it's phrased in an email, and so. Whenever I receive stuff like that, it's triggering, the UDO and enforcement. I don't know if that's. I don't wanna like put words in anybody's mouth, I don't know if that's the purpose of like this discussion, I feel like it's more of like suggestions of like things to work on as a community rather than complaining about a neighbor.
And it might be thinking about like, is there an easier way for people to come to a meeting and drop those thoughts? And then they can leave, they don't have to talk about it, but like, just like figuring out a way, like, what's the easiest way for them to get that in front of us in a way that doesn't activate an entire system of enforcement?
Meeting suggestion box.
Yeah, don't turn your camera, don't put your camera.
We did have, at a tabling event a couple of years ago, just basically a notepad, and it was like. People who, I think it was at, some gardening related one at Switchyard. But yeah, basically just like tell us. Your environmental concerns, what you're thinking about, and sure, you might. get stuff that's already on our mind, but, you know, also might get something we hadn't thought of yet. So.
Yeah, I think that we already have a number of avenues for the public to do this. It's just making sure that they know about them, right? So they've got, I mean, public comment at the beginning of the meetings online, events that we're tabling at, and then I assume that there's probably a space like on the Facebook page, right? That where they could,
Yeah.
I mean, occasionally we could even just like have a post for perhaps that said something like, you know,
Comment with your concern.
I don't know, you'd have to phrase it very carefully, so I don't know what it would be, but yeah, just inviting ideas maybe, so I think we're already doing this, but I guess the question is are there ways that we can make those avenues more public, or more legible to people?
Other thoughts on ideas for this coming year?
So I'm not quite ready to celebrate the full success of the habitat connectivity map. I think that there's maybe additional outreach that we should decide how much we want to, you know, push that, because we had our initial press release and, you know, we shared things and there were some responses, but I think, you know, a huge portion of the city, including some of the corridor areas, probably have no idea that it's a thing.
Yeah, I definitely think that should be, I think it's a great idea.
From a outreach and education standpoint, I guess, I think there's more discussions to be had about what we can do to get that in front of more people this year. Carrie and I spoke to an individual with Kona, it's a neighborhood associations collective. I can't remember exactly what it stands for. But when they get to having regular meetings again, they would like us to speak about it then. I don't know what other avenues are available to us at the moment, but I just still want to be on the lookout for ways to get more use and more interest in the.
So the Indiana Native Plants Society meets in Bloomington
Yeah.
every, around this time of year, I think.
Yeah, and actually, I think they're aware of it. I think maybe it's just figuring out how to like get them to be excited to like share about it or incorporate into their materials or whatever it is. So, yeah, that's a good idea. We also talked about like, having like one shooters or business cards or
Yeah.
like some.
Well, yeah, I mean, so it's probably at the convention center, right? The meeting. So they have an annual meeting in Bloomington. And I think it's coming up next month.
Oh.
Let's see.
I think you're right.
Yeah, 24th and 25th of October.
Matt, before I forget, we did carry us for decals
Yeah.
for the habitat activity map. Like stickers, they did get printed. I didn't have a chance to pick them up today. The table bought them, the decals are ready. So I'll bring them to the next meeting or outreach event.
Man, it's just Matt Caldy's face.
Yeah.
No one wants that.
Sorry to interrupt you that.
No, it's okay. What about so that's already passed, the MCI, or what is the?
The iris.
Yeah, that's in the spring, right? Sycamore Land Trust does a plant sale that's really popular in the spring. So those are all people buying native plants.
Yeah.
They're our target, you know,
Yeah.
they're the people that, for the map,
Yeah. So I
they're the
think-
people that are creating.
So
Be
what
willing
we
to-
should do is like a biodiversity working group meeting where it just focus on habitat, like habitat connectivity plan outreach. Like I think that's probably the best way to make sure that this kicks off so that in spring, when everyone's going cuckoo for planting and all that stuff, that it is well on its way to Gabriel's hands. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, do people have ideas of things that they wanna make sure that we don't have to go into like tons of detail about it, you just be like, here's a random idea I have, and just add to the list.
Definitely carry over the riparian buffer one, it's good.
Cause that's gonna be part of this,
Well, it's just, I'm gonna try and see if I can rope an undergrad and do it again this year. Since we missed the window on it last year.
Lead wranglers and.
So we
do kind of need that.
What are you doing?
Yeah, we did wanna have that possible.
Yeah.
What's the riparian buffer?
The riparian buffer thing, this was, something that was spearheaded by former Commissioner Michael Whitman. basically how the riparian buffers got measured in town, whether it was purely GIS from like the center point of the stream or from the actual like wetted width of the stream. And most of the streams in Bloomington are small enough that those can be treated as pretty equivalent, but some of the larger streams in town, there's like, it makes a difference in the buffer if you're measuring 50 meters out from like the center of the stream versus 50 meters from the edge of the stream. And it's trying to see like how much of a actual difference there is and what streams we should maybe potentially flag for like actually going out and measuring from the bank versus.
Yeah.
Just like kind of a line. On EIS system or something. And I'm in the geography department, so I'm trying to throw this at somebody's senior thesis of just like, here, do some mapping. I know you like this. So. Missed the boat on, getting signed up for the senior thesis, collaboration last year, but now they know I want to do it, and we want to partner with them on that, so.
Field work projects.
Exactly, yeah, it's like, it's got a good mix of like, you get to go outside and also you get to do a lot of, fun stuff in ArcGIS, so.
While I was chatting, I added UDO proposals. That's something that we've talked about, changes to UDO and how we communicate that. And I think moving forward, the goal is to be more intentional about really making sure that we make the cut on anything that the planning department's considering, or anything that we want to just want to have that from meeting. But anyway, add that on us. Other things that people want to make sure we're thinking through as we talk about next year. Doesn't have to be all new stuff, but it is kind of nice to take a step back and say like, what matters to us? What have we like not been able to accomplish, or what are little things that might be fun to do? Even little things can be kind of nice.
Is there anything we need to do for B City, a new certification?
No, we just cruised into the world of being officially part of the B City community, and so, yeah, I think it's just following through with the commitments there, so.
And there's both the campus and the town have, the campus had a meeting earlier this week and the cities is tomorrow. Yeah.
Good question. Other thoughts people had while they were, gearing up for this meeting that they thought would be fun to try and prioritize?
What do you think was the biggest reason for the lack of participation in the Eco Heroes contest? Because we should not do that.
Ooh, well, I think that there are a couple very clear things that we are already working around, which is one, we had a real shift in our process for how to do it. I've got some stuff to share when it comes time to the updates, as far as like, I went for the next steps, getting things to educators, having to think through like all that stuff, so I think a lot of it was just kind of a cluster right before we really had to have it done.
I think part of it was just like a turnover between Linda and I, and just like the process of how all that went, and like the department's use of the SPIA fellows. I think those are the shifts you're referring to, right? Yeah.
And now that we know what
Yes.
needs to be done, we
Yeah.
can start sooner and be more effective.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I guess the second part is just gonna be really properly pestering people to participate.
And I have some thoughts that I'll share in the Eco Heroes update, but I think part of it is figuring out how to properly connect with the folks that we are hoping will encourage younger folks to participate in it. I think adults will do it if they feel like doing it, but I think that how we're talking to teachers, parents, community groups, things like that might be something that we wanna kind of work through again, but yeah, I agree. It's always it's a disappointment when it feels like we're just trying so hard to get people involved, because we really do wanna celebrate people. who
And
are
what's
so
the reward, the prize, or is there first place, second place, third place?
For the Eco Heroes, so it is a community-wide art contest, so we have different categories for ages, there's, I guess like pre-K to like second grade, there's like third to sixth, there's like 7 to 8 and 9 to 12, and then 18 plus, or something like that, so we have like a handful of categories, and we go through and rank first through third place on all of them, presuming that there are at least 3 submissions for each of those brackets, and then we have donations from businesses and organizations and folks around town, that then they get varying prices, so. Yeah, things like pizza and like odds and ends, like a bird feeder and also sometimes like gift certificates and stuff like that.
Yeah, I told my daughter about it, she was excited. She wants to- so that's okay.
Good.
But then she wanted to know what's the price, so I like.
It's a variety of friends, it's a variety of fun friends. But yeah, we try to make it like worthwhile for people to put time into it, especially when we have like. Like entire classes or like groups where it's like a bunch of people from the same classroom, who are working on it together, so, yeah. Try to make it incentivizing, and then like the celebration is, with a bunch of other folks for Earth, like at the Earth Day celebration, so the idea is to. Get people pumped for the planet. That should be the next, no, I'm kidding, I'm not next thing. Any other thoughts that people wanna contribute for this next year?
I do think a theme through with a lot of these is just outreach and outreach and education and. Sort of letting people know, I mean, we have a lot of things that we've done, a lot of resources that are available. Finding ways to just get the word out, more, I think. It should be a
Is
value.
there a big drop off at schools about the contest?
Yeah, we've got, that'll be part of what we're doing, yeah.
I know we kind of started doing this year, but on the education outreach, like continuing to overhaul like our flyers and.
Yeah.
Our literature.
Yeah. Oh, no, smart. Yeah, that's great. What else? Any other thoughts? So just as a quick reminder, we got biodiversity working group, which obviously did, haha, you're so cool. I'm gonna give it one more round and then I will thank you for offering. Biodiversity working group, which does things like the habitat connectivity plan and the bee city stuff. But yeah, it talks about native plants, promoting pollinators, all of that good stuff. Water quality working group, which we've gone into detail about. Light pollution is a brand new one, and so part of that is getting some progress made on just figuring out what that looks like for us. Let's see, the special projects, which is basically the funding and some of the certification stuff or administrative stuff.
And ECPC is revived.
ECPC is back and with us, so it's, I feel like the work with planning department on relevant projects, I'm gonna put that on here because. It is, I mean, I don't know, it's not really like a goal, it's just kind of like an ongoing thing, so maybe it doesn't need to be on the list, but. Continuing doing it is probably important enough to have it. I'm gonna have it on here as, don't let it go. And is that all the working groups? I think that's the right.
All of the active working groups, there are, 20 working historical working groups.
So there's a lot of old ones. So we don't need to revive them if we don't want to. I mean, we're all doing this for fun, so we don't wanna spread ourselves too thin if we've got some stuff we're feeling good about. Anything else people wanna add to this list? More kitchen? No, I'm just kidding. Okay,
I guess, is there like successes on here that like, are we assuming everything's carrying over minus the successes, or are we just focusing on the new list?
it's a great question. What do you all think? If it's something that we've not completed, do you wanna roll it, do you wanna make sure we're rolling into the new year? Do we wanna say not a priority anymore?
What has not been completed? It looks like a lot has.
Okay, onboarding. Did that, so we'll continue to revise that if we need to. Establish water quality contacts for data and priority setting. Mitchell's got that up and rolling in the rest of the water quality group as well. Continue progress on UDO repair and buffer measurement, that is what Mitch was just talking about. Social media strategy and seasonal content ideas, this has gotten a little thinner because the fellow who was originally doing like when Department was talking about our social media strategy, is working on other projects, so. That is something that hasn't been as big of a priority, but it's something that we're still like floating to Rachel, it's like, hey, share this on Facebook. This is so, I would say grayish. Avenue for public to bring environmental concerns, we talked about that and how that is something that would make sense to continue on. Connectivity map, cha-ching, we did it, so good. Light pollution stuff, we talked about that, that is. We have the dark sky place on the list, but we don't have just continuing working with the, like, pollution working group, so feel free to refine that as we're making the final list if you want. Be city check, collaborative clean team, so that is something that we have. Mitchell has his thumb in that, what is the, anyway. Mitchell's up in this cleaning team business, so, that'll be something that he continues to.
Yeah, I consider that a success.
We're in the planning department that we are doing and continuing to do, update the website. Okay, so this has not been fully done. We talked about trying to, instead of recreating new materials for everything we think is important, to start adding links to reputable websites, if they still exist, that have information about the things that we do, water, light, biodiversity, all that stuff, that we can say, here are places you can find useful things, having it be some local stuff, having it be some federal stuff, having it being just, databases, stuff like that. So that has not been done so much. We cleaned up the website and been trying to kind of double check what we're sharing, but I would say this is not completed. Correct me if you think I'm wrong. And then now, of course, send it out this way. So does that help?
So pretty much everything up there has been, except for maybe the website has been touched, but
Yeah,
or stuff.
yeah. Everything got a nod last year. So it's how much do we want to keep zoning?
Yeah.
Is there anything that's not on this scratchy list that would make sense to include?
So you're gonna keep this list and add to it, or are there things to take off this list first?
Yep, we would basically wipe that list and then do whatever's on this list, once we talk it through and decide what to keep. So if we don't call out something that's on that list and put it here, it will disappear.
What, the web, I'm not doing the work, so I don't know, I don't know that I will make.
You could be like, I'm gonna come up with all.
You don't want me on your website, do you?
I can make the website changes, but I have to be told what changes to make.
Okay,
so.
so if we were to create, you notice I said we, if we were to create links, or is it, the second to last bullet?
Yeah, usually a list of like, here's like the 75 links that I think are really valuable for the work we're doing.
So let's keep that.
Okay,
Is that cool?
I like it. Adam has decided.
Okay. That's all right.
That's great.
I might have to ask for some help.
And before I guess, like, we just start sending Rachel random links,
Yeah.
I would suggest like, what does this page look like and how does it organize? So then I can ask ITS to maybe create a link page, so.
I will definitely not just send you.
Okay.
It'll all be organized.
Yeah, perfect.
And I think, and looking around the city's website, will kind of give you an idea of what's possible, because it is
It's
very,
limited.
it is very specifically built, and so there are a lot of really cool things that other websites do that may or may not be available, but there is stuff that we can't do, so, yeah. Cool, thanks for bringing that up. Anything else people want to bring up to add to the list before we just like check through what we want to keep for this coming year?
Would it make sense to have the website materials be sort of grouped into a new working group with social media? I mean, can we touch the social media accounts? No. Okay.
And I don't have Facebook, so I cannot be the admin for it. So that's another.
So who is doing that?
Right now, I have the fellow, I tell her to post it as requested. Whenever we don't have a fellow, such as the summer months, it's my supervisor.
Okay. Well, we could, if we, not that we need to have another committee or working group, but we could potentially like have a plan to send something like once a month to be posted on these.
Yeah.
If we had a committee that was thinking about online presence.
And theoretically, we could just do that today. Like I send stuff to Rachel, I'm like, oh, this is something that is happening, at the state level, can you share about it? So we could do that informally, but if having a group of people who are like committed to coming up with what they think we could do and or strategically putting that material together.
So does the American Commission need a position? Social media manager?
Yeah, it'd be like a social media manager who goes through the city that we have to bring in.
There was a time where a lot of these things could be figured out and even kind of voted upon sort of by email, but now they can't. So I feel like it actually kind of requires that we bring back, I don't know if it's an outreach working group or what we want to brand it as, because in order to co-work in any capacity, we have to have these meetings, because otherwise it's just an individual compiling things and sending it to Rachel. So-
Yeah, I was just thinking about the email too, if there was a social media working group or an outreach working group. I don't think it would be appropriate, I don't know what's business in this case, like if you guys would. Say, hey, look at this link, is this appropriate to post on our social media? It seems really minuscule, but I don't know if it's considered business. So that's something that I think would have to be shared in person. What Matt was saying.
Gotcha, like it would have to be followed the same working group rules.
I think so, yeah.
That's a good point, though, that like, it's not like, it's not business,
Yeah.
but it is on behalf of the EC,
Yeah.
technically on social media. but-
So yeah, since we're not allowed to co-work outside of these type settings, it would all be just like parallel, people doing their own research, then coming to some working group meeting, sharing and deciding, and then, you know, we as a commission agree that the people on this working group can put forward something that either goes right to the website or right to the social media or whatever it is, the same way that, you know, if the ECPC group writes a memo, we're not taking it before the whole commission, we're trusting it as a working group. So I think in order for this one to actually function, we kind of have to have a working group.
On the list, get ready to volunteer for the working groups in just a minute, folks. Are there any other things you want to add to this list?
I think we need that.
Okay, I'm gonna keep this moving because it's a quarter after and those cookies aren't gonna eat themselves. So we are, let's see this round works. Are folks ready to discuss this list for what we want to keep? And what things may not make it cut this year, if there's anything on the list we remember. Okay, I'm gonna read through this list very briefly. We have the dark sky plate certification as a priority for next year. We have potentially putting together an in-school type of presentation that we might try and offer, for like MTCSC or whatever. Upping our watershed education plan, doing our eco heroes program. Refining our public input process and how we talk to people in the public about how they can share with us. Next steps for habitat connectivity outreach, specifically really confirming how and who is spreading word. The riparian buffer inventory, making sure that we're keeping an eye on that. The UDO proposals and having our list available to planning to consider for the UDO changes. Rethinking and amplifying our own outreach about how the EC works, who we are, how people can get involved, all that kind of ties in with this guy. But then also, education on topics, so just reviewing what we have on the website and thinking about how we are sharing that with the public in a way that's not just them coming to us, which also kind of connects with this. ECPC, continuing to work with plan department, considering some of the bigger, proposals that are coming through. And then continue to update the website materials, adding more links to resources that people could access through our webpage, and then also potentially having a social media team that talk about how we're getting out in the world of social media with things that matter to us or things we're doing.
All sounds good.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, I'm not really sure we need to eliminate anything. I'm trying to think of a way.
You guys.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the way that several of them fit into either 3 to 5 year plan stuff, or obviously very neatly within certain existing working groups. So I think with the creation of one more working group and just knowing how, which ones these apply to, that they're all things we can attack. And it doesn't mean we're gonna overhaul a website or a social media or anything in a year, but
Yeah, like an education and outreach group, take off 5 of those, 5 or
It's-
6 of those.
It's
things.
true. In the past, one thing, not to naysay that, 'cause I think that makes a lot of sense. One thing we've struggled with is having, when we have multiple things going on, if we have one group that's the education and outreach with outreach group, are they doing the outreach for all of the other working group things? Or are they like? Are the other working groups like sending things to the outreach, I mean, like, here's what we're doing, what should we do to outreach that, you know, like that, like figuring out like. If you're sitting in one camp, but all the stuff that you're trying to do your work for is some other working groups materials, how do we think about that? But I mean, we used to have an outreach group for sure, because it does make sense to bring that up. So, yeah, I mean, the education piece does feel like a very little part.
Okay, I mean, it's a little bit ambitious to have this many things that fall under outreach, but still, I think especially if we have a number of people sign up for it, you know, someone might be enthusiastic about links, someone might be enthusiastic about trying to get, you know, guest columns written, somebody might, so it doesn't mean we'll hit on all of it, but they're good goals.
So you're concerned about, I see your concern, you've got outreach and then groups that need outreach.
Yeah, exactly.
If the outreach had one member from each group, could that work?
Could you nominate your outreach representative from each working group?
Yeah,
That's a great idea.
We only have, there's biodiversity, water, and light, right?
Easy.
in education,
Well, I think
maybe,
that's.
or
part
it's
of
gonna be
outreach.
outreach and
Cause the
education. Okay.
ECPC, like, we're probably not gonna have a lot of outreach and education,
Probably not.
right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
that's
you're
because
right.
it's a different sort of group.
Mhm.
Water quality will need outreach for, because we're going to, Mitchell, and others are going to work on a report, right? Light,
Yes.
it might still be, I mean, we might be in the early stages of that, but it seems
Yeah.
like that's one thing at these monthly meetings, that the working groups, when they're doing the reports, they can say, hey, outreach, like, we're ready to send you some things to.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay.
I'll also say for water quality, I have offered to help utilities with their outreach as well, because there's, all the water quality monitoring they did this year. Trying to figure out how to get that information out to the public in a way that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's so tricky with our media ecosystem right now in Bloomington, which is so fragmented, but. Yeah,
Okay, so if we look at this list, and this is not written in a way that is very pleasant to read, but if we basically break it down into the kind of ways that I described it before, and then maybe stitch together some of these that are related, things like watershed education, I think that's a great idea. I think a lot of people don't understand what a watershed is. So it would be great to think about that. For something like watershed education, I would say that's one that I would say is that a water quality working group initiative then, and just making sure that we are like intentionally fitting that into what we're doing with each, how we think about each, working group. My impulse looking at this list is to go through and just like do a quick highlight of these beautiful working groups that we just mentioned. And just basically like give them their little like symbols of like, okay, here are the working groups they're gonna be assigned to.
You know, red.
Oh my gosh, there's in your dry erase, I love it, sorry.
I read too. That's okay.
Okay, so dark place, or dark sky is obviously gonna be like, whoa, so vibrant. In school presentations, we assume is the outreach education.
Has that been done before?
Sorry?
In school presentation?
I don't think it's enough said that you're, no, and there's probably tons and tons of rules around it, which is why having designated people to think about it is great call.
I know everybody would have to go through, everybody who wants to go in there would have to go through a background check, and I don't know what that looks like if you're entering on behalf of the city. I don't know what the city side of that looks like. I'm happy to research, but I know from the school side, when we've gone into schools, there's a background check.
So the city has other programs they do educational like that?
Safe Streets, there's Safety Week in the spring, we've gone to the schools.
Okay, so I've got eco heroes with the eco heroes, watersheds with water quality, public input process, which connects with our own, who the environmental commission is. Are we putting that on outreach?
A lot of them are gonna be, but yeah.
Alright. Okay, next one is habitat connectivity, next steps, which is diversity working. Riparian buffer inventory. You're calling that water quality? UDO proposals, ooh. That's a little bit of everybody, because it's basically like depending on what thing you're doing. If there's something that doesn't align with it in UDO that you'd like to consider or that UDO is preventing. So I'm gonna put this into kind of a non-working group. Because it really kind of is all of this.
An invention,
ECPC though.
I'm sorry?
It's
an
really-
invention.
Yes. So, okay, and this one goes up to there. Educational topics is again gonna be the, and this is like reviewing the literature on the website and stuff like that, which also goes into the links and things like that, which will go into this new
Mhm.
fella. Okay, so it's gonna be, and out. And out. ECPC is ECPC.
Mhm.
Social media plan team is an out.
Get out.
Okay. Alright, how do you feel about that? Does that make sense? Okay, this is it. This is it. Your
Mhm.
chance. We've been talking about our priorities. You know what we're working on this year. Which working group do you want to sign up for? Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there are 11 of us, which means we gotta have at least 2 people per working group, ideally 3, maybe 4, we can have as many as 5 before we hit quorum. This is where it gets really hard, because if we don't have people who are dedicated to doing it and don't have someone who volunteers to kind of like be the like cat wrangler, then that's where we kind of struggle with, you know, hitting our goals and things like that.
How many, I know it varies, but well, how frequently does like the average one meeting?
That's a great question. It kind of depends on which one. Eco Heroes meets a lot right before Eco Heroes season, but then it gets quiet for like 8 months. ECPC, it meets in a completely wild.
I
schedule.
am proposing a schedule during the ECPC update, maybe 2 meetings a month.
Okay, 2 months. Water quality,
Every other month.
yeah, light pollution group.
I'd say. Figures that out.
Say similar, every other month, maybe.
Diversity.
We haven't met in a while.
Yeah, we meet, I would say like once a month would be really nice.
So it seems like there are some that don't meet very frequently and then a few that do a lot.
Yep, yep, and I really think about, and the outreach and education is probably gonna be the one that meets the most until we have a plan.
Mhm.
And the special projects is mostly kind of like as needed, and it's mostly just you saying I'm gonna start a group and then not starting it and then ordering it in the cloud, so yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And I wanna say too, like, the outreach and education, I don't know how long those meetings have to be. I don't know what everyone's schedules are, do something on that, but it could be, hey, you're meeting in the hooker room from 5:30 to 6. Our meeting starts at 6.
Mhm.
So it could be, you know, kind of
Mhm.
correlating with
That's
what
okay,
is
yeah.
already being met.
And you don't have to be there for those.
Right.
And as long as we don't need like a Zoom component,
Yeah,
there's gonna be like any external person here to like,
Mhm.
you know.
I believe the only reason for a Zoom component is if a council member attends the meeting, so that is if you know of that happening, please let me know. If a council member does attend a meeting, I think it has to be canceled if it's not advertised as hybrid at least, so,
It's okay, we don't-
I think that's how it goes, but if you know of a council member, let me know.
I have another question. So y'all talk about ECPC a lot. What are you doing in
Rachel, can
ECPC?
you make the breakdown? Okay.
Yeah, so, there's several members who have been part of ECPC longer than I have, so if I miss out anything, please let me know, but, so ECPC, Environmental Commission Plan Committee.
Mhm.
The planning department sees various developments from putting a sign in the ground to putting a whole neighborhood on 40 acres. So whenever there's environmental sensitivities, wetlands karst, steep slopes, tree pres, riparian, I think lake and water are the other one. So whenever there's significant environmental implications and bringing it to ECPC to say, hey, what do you think about this? What kind of remediation plan should this development have? Are there any recommendations that you guys have that they should be considering? So one, for example, that was being heard tonight at the BZA was the St. Remy neighborhood needed a new dam. To implement this dam, they were affecting wetlands, riparian, post canopy, and some man-made slopes. So that didn't necessarily go against our regulations. The dam needed to be repaired, but the remediation plan of, you know, how you're disturbing all these environmental features needed to be addressed. So I think they came to a good place. I don't know if you guys saw the plan. But we can talk after if you're interested. But that was being heard tonight, and the ECPC did write a letter saying these are the things that we would like to be explored or considered during the remediation plan.
So yeah, basically we get presented with a lot of information, often passed straight from the petitioners through Rachel. It's sometimes a lot to read, to get around to that, but then we collectively decide if we want to write something on it or it's very happens quickly and it sometimes gets canceled too. So scheduling, it's really hard, but it's very interesting.
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah, so it's like it's dense and it's intense and sometimes it turns into nothing.
I'm hoping it's more organized next year with a set schedule I'm proposing. This fall has been very messy with just trying to get schedules as well as things are often continued to the next BZA or planning commission meeting, so if they are meeting deadlines. So that can mean, hey, you're supposed to come in during a lunch meeting at 11:30, and I'm letting you know at 9 AM that the meeting's canceled. So, yeah.
Any other questions about the working group before I turn the feed up? Okay, so, I mean, I think we can either like, kind of like go around and say like, oh, you know, not Rachel, Mitchell, which one do you wanna be on, whatever, or I can just say like, who's interested, and also would one of the interested parties volunteer to come to the first wrangler of conversations? So let's start, easy peasy, who is just kind of interested in being looped in on how that all works? Okay, I've got Adam, Jim, I've got Matt, got Mitchell. And
David.
David.
Are you on it, Gary?
I would like to be.
Norm is part of the group right now.
Wait, Norm is part of the.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna put Norm in first.
Yeah.
I'm also interested, but I don't know if I'll still be here, because I'm starting a full-time job in Indianapolis in January.
Congratulations.
I know, it's in Item's water.
Are you gonna be downtown?
Okay, well, I've got you up there, so you're welcome to join, and we'll coordinate on the forum.
Well, if you're not a fish member, you're allowed to attend as a guest and provide your opinion, so. Yes.
Okay.
We did have somebody at the last ECPC.
Yeah, actually, he was helpful.
Yeah, he was.
And I'm gonna put Rachel as the.
Yeah.
Kind of rambler. Okay, water quality. Nice, I've got Mitchell,
I will write a little.
David,
thank you. David,
Heidi,
nice, Heidi,
Who's not here?
Norm's not here.
Other one.
Casey.
Yes, Cassie, she is,
Just potentially.
she's on with us right now.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else wanna get their name up there for water quality? No pressure, there's plenty of working groups to go around.
Are you on that?
Yeah,
I'm not, I'm like an informal drop
I
in.
keep roping you in on.
Yeah.
special
Would
projects.
would you like to be on the email list?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Okay. Okay, light pollution working group. Adam.
both Adams.
Adam.
Right.
And Matt, is your hand?
Yep.
And me,
Wait, who's that?
Nadia.
No,
I have to figure
as
myself.
long as she exists.
Do we have a wrangler? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else for like? Okay. Biodiversity working group. Yeah, Shannon. Thank you for raising your hand. I'll put my name on there too.
Just outpatient.
Okay,
Yeah.
somebody's up. Adam, Dave. Adam. David.
And Matt.
Matt. Cool.
Nadia, are you wanting to be removed from that group?
You wanna be looped in on the biodiversity working group?
No, not that.
Real quickly, do you work now?
No.
I'm just updating email lists, that's good.
That's great, that's great. Okay, eco heroes.
Who's the right for that?
Oh, for biodiversity working group, do we have a volunteer to be the wrangler? It's probably something that we would like to meet a little more often because this is a big priority, so feel free to volunteer yourself, but no pressure if you're not able to volunteer yourself. Yeah. I tried to, I tried to take it off.
Matt,
Yeah.
Chica here's volunteers, Shannon, Shannon.
I signed up last time too, but if you've had meetings, I have.
Alright, anybody else gonna be on the eco heroes committee?
Me if you're.
I can have some that like.
And at this point, the Eco Heroes Committee, we try to have everyone participate in the judging process. So like the couple weeks before, the event, we'll have all this stuff and you can like walk through, we have a form and you rank them by age groups. But this is really like talking about, putting materials together for the educators, getting it out into the hands of the public. Yes, promotion
Like
and.
prizes.
donations, Yeah, getting donations for prizes, picking up prizes, sort of the really glamorous part of running the art contest.
Maybe there's room for one more.
Yeah.
For sure. In particular, wanna be the Wrangler?
You do.
I'd love to run my house, so we'll just put me, feel free to usurp me. Okay, and we'll keep calling for help with Eco Heroes, I don't do things where it's like, we just need the group's ideas on this. Special projects, again, that's basically just like, if there's stuff that we want to like there's like certification or anything like administrative, that would be helpful to have somebody just kind of like see that through. If there's like a grant stuff we wanna apply for, that's just, again, sort of administrative type things.
It doesn't really meet unless something pops
It
up,
really doesn't need.
so it's the lowest.
Michelle, what do you think? Does anybody else want to be on this ghost committee?
I can be on it.
Nice, okay, that's what I'm looking for.
Just to confirm, Matt, are you getting removed from this committee?
Oh, you're the treasurer. Girl,
Oh,
we need-
man, so I guess I'm still unofficially on it.
Okay.
Put me in parentheses, there you go.
Yeah, there we go. And then
One
this
of
is,
the
this
big
is the big one. This is the big one that is nebulous at the moment. We've all identified as being really important and tons of the things that we want to do fall into this. This group supposedly is populated by members of each of these working groups. Is there anybody who, whether or not they're even on one of these working groups, who wants to commit to being part of this working group?
I'll be part of it.
Awesome.
I don't wanna leave it though.
Got it. Matt, I think I saw you.
Also Shannon?
Oh, Gina, nice.
Is that education outreach?
Yeah.
I would like that.
Oh, yeah.
You say you not it?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never leave us.
Okay, anybody else wanna get their name on the board for confirming education outreach? And then once we get into our working groups, you can obviously sort out like, well, you know, be the conduit for whichever other working groups. Is anyone on this list interested in being the point person to?
Not really,
Matt,
If you wanted to find diversity, I would take
Yes.
this.
yeah.
Is there
We're
a
gonna,
representative from each group? We haven't decided that.
Okay.
I would.
But-
we're gonna
Now,
trade.
EDC does have.
Carrie.
Yeah.
Shannon for outreach, me for biodiversity,
Ooh,
trading wrangling.
a little swap, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
big, well, because the biodiversity, like, I still have that community days plus stuff.
Okay, so like. Special,
He's right.
light, Matt and Adam, water quality has.
The only one that doesn't have.
Water quality. Nice, exciting, okay, so.
Over your water quality group from rehab.
I like taking a
Okay.
meeting just like 30 minutes.
Water quality, awesome. And then ECP's, yeah, I do perfect.
Let's do that.
Okay. So this is tentatively the list of things we're gonna be dedicated to, the specific goals we have for the year, the bigger directional things, and obviously if we like look at this list, theoretically, each of these should feed into here. The only one that's really not as clear, but I don't think we need to articulate it, is the educational component, specifically like some of these trainings, like getting out in the community and showing them stuff. That kind of feeds into it, but some of it is just like the, you know, the website side of like having materials that we feel good about and then getting it out through the social and flyering and stuff like that. Okay. I have obviously not written any of this down in any sort of paper or device.
Take a picture.
I might.
I got it.
For.
Nice.
Adam, you're taking. But this is it. This is super exciting because it's a nice mix of all of us. And obviously, if there's more that you want to be part of, you can. If you find that you're not able to make the meetings or there's something that's kind of conflicting with your ability to be part of the working group, like talk to the working group, figure out what's gonna work best. You're not stuck on these groups, but you're obviously very valuable, you know, your insights and your energy and your enthusiasm. So this is gonna be what we do for next year. Yeah, go with it?
On to old business.
Okay, well, success. Hey, I mean, thanks y'all for working us through it. I never know how long these are gonna take, so. Good job. And now. The old business. Okay, so we just went through all the working groups, so if there's anything that people wanna make sure we're talking about. Now is the time to go through, starting with biodiversity. So if there's any updates that you have that you want to share, feel free.
So we've not met, but the Bee City groups, as I mentioned before, are actually finally getting off the ground, both on campus. I couldn't make that meeting, and then the city group starting tomorrow, and I'll be there, so I'll be able to report back.
Excellent.
Yeah. Or do you want to?
No, no, that's your last one.
Okay, that's.
Give me next time.
Okay, is there anything else from, biodiversity as far as like? Oh, that habitat connectivity, so, while I was ordering the tablecloth, which looks exactly like the old tablecloth, except for it's like a digitized version of the logo. I also had, Rachel order us like the 3-inch like circle stickers of that blue, that like teal color habitat connectivity plan. Like logo with the flowers and stuff, and it's basically the idea is when you sign up for the Habitat Connectivity Pledge, once you put your location with the things, you get a sticker. So it is strictly for people once they've signed up because we're trying to get more people to do that. So I think we got like maybe 3 stickers.
I think we got 100, yeah.
Nice. So that'll be fun. It's like a fun interactive thing to give out to folks when they use the tools.
And it wasn't extraordinarily expensive, but we run out, designs order best.
Yay. Thank you for that. And it's using our budget for the year, which we never do. Cool. Okay, next thing on the list is Eco Heroes. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my notes for Eco Heroes. Basically, you may remember that last month, we did a lot of talking about Eco Heroes, the themes. Proposed a lot of things, talked through a lot of things, had a lot of great ideas, and we're all like, I don't know this and this and this, and then Heidi says, what about something about night? And we all went, ooh, night, such a good like intersection. So I've got some things that I want to kind of propose to you all, and then our Eco Heroes group can set up a meeting to talk through the details. So basically the theme would be our nature at night. And then instead of having like a subtitle or anything like that, that would just be like the title of it, and then we'd have some descriptive language that describes a bunch of different things about nighttime, whether it's like things like lightning bugs and bats that are really, known for being active at night, whether it's things you do at night, like night hikes and camping, whether it's about how predators behave at night, whether it's about how plants change when the lighting changes, whether it's about the mood, but just like giving a sort of broad sweeping description of all the ways that nature's, do very unique things at night. And then providing a list of like, what does it look like to participate in the Eco Heroes Art Contest? We did this last year where it's like, it could be a lot of things. It could be like a poem, a painting, something in 3D that you make with clay or Legos or whatever. It could be, and just like, but a huge variety of things. Like we've had people make videos, we've had people do songs, yeah, just like everything. So trying to give people an idea of what all could look like. So that's kind of where we're, the direction that we're going, but the dates that we have, starting at the end, Earth Day, the Earth Day event that the city's hosting is April 18th. As a Saturday. Not Earth Day, but it's a Saturday. And so what we would like to do is I think we should tell the winners that they've won by April 10th. So a little over a week ahead of time, so they can make plans to come to the event. It's always nice when the winners are actually able to be there. So if we tell them on the 10th, then I'd suggest the cutoff date to give us their art is the 7th, which means we would have, well, supposedly it'd be the end of the day 7. So we'd have Wednesday and Thursday and Friday morning to judge. So it would be, we set up a time that, whether it's a window of time or like a really specific time people agree upon, to come by and rank the different submissions that we had. We always do that in person, just 'cause it's really hard to do it digitally or virtually, so keep that in mind, but that's kind of the thought for doing that. Having said that, that would be kind of like when things are due. That's like 3, 4-ish months into the year. So then the idea would be that we get an email out to the teachers, like educators, leaders, the week of December 8th. So our group would meet and basically put together the same kind of language we always send out. It's like, here's what the art contest is, here's what the theme is, here's a basic description. We'll send you more materials in the new year, but get it into their heads before they go on break, before they start thinking about their spring. I mean, they're probably thinking about their spring semester, but before they've committed to their spring semester. And then the week of January 12th, which is like 2 weeks after they get back, send them like the graphics. We do like flyers and like poster type things. Send them like any extra materials that we want to share as far as like information. It's a really broad topic, so we don't need to do like with the bugs where it's like, here's what bugs are, here is what bug value is. But just like ways for them to think about it. And then in mid-January also get those flyers out to the public, which we will probably ask the EC to like put flyers up in places or email it or put it on your social media or like just kind of start getting the word out just like naturally or wherever, you work or at your church or whatever it is. Also onto the city webpage in mid-January, into city mailings, into the, like community calendars, things like that. And then, and then at that point, we would start putting together our pitch for asking for donations. So there's some places that have like 90-day cutoffs of like, they have to be asked at least that far in advance. So my hope is that by the January meeting, anybody who has had ideas for who can donate can share that. And then we can share, here's the list of who we're asking and then bill that as much as possible and then ask for donations. And hopefully we'll get lots of donations in return. So that's kind of the layout.
When does the competition open?
Oh, it would be the week of December 8th would be when we send it. Well, I mean,
Competition
like,
open,
before we
meaning
see-
submission.
when did they give them to us?
Yeah.
When have we done it in the past?
Has it been 3 weeks or 2 weeks in the past? Like how long, if the deadline's April 7th, is it does it open 2 or 3 weeks prior to that?
I think it's dependent on honestly like what storage looks like. And I know when it's a really long window, it still all comes in at the last second.
I can make storage in the department. I remember last year getting a large amount of items to switch yard and having that storage overnight.
Yeah.
It was on a holiday last year, so like the Friday getting stored for a couple of days, that was the issue. Storage
Okay.
inside the department. Obviously, if we get 120 submissions, like I'll figure it out, but I don't think it's been an issue, at least for me.
So if we open it on the 27th, that would be actually be even less than that. If we open it on the 17th of March, if we open on St. Patrick's Day, that would be 1, 2, 3 whole weeks.
Okay.
Okay, St. Patty's Day and great. Okay. That's kind of the plan. I'm gonna put together some graphic-y stuff and we'll have the Eco Heroes crew, which consists of Matt, Adam, Shannon, Nadia, hopefully, Heidi, and myself. Get together and be under quorum, but we will get together and kind of talk about next steps.
The people that donate for
Yes.
that, do they get advertising and stuff like that?
Yeah, we do like on like our social media and I think on the website too, we like thank them as sponsors. And then at the event, we like read their name out and they're like on a screen that like their logo or whatever is on the screen that we put up on the presentation area.
They also get a tax write-off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have like a little thank you thing as well. Yeah. And hopefully feel good.
I should have mentioned while we were on biodiversity, while we go through these, do we want to start scheduling the next meeting? So then sometimes the emails can go back and forth and then people get busy. So obviously it's just an option, but, I didn't know if that was something, like for ECPC, for example, if you guys wanted to meet anytime soon, and if this was the platform to do it. It's okay if not.
We have 15 minutes left. What do people think? You wanna try and make some scheduling stuff or do you wanna?
That could take a while, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We should use blend meats.
all right. Okay, so we're gonna pass on the schedule. That's a really good idea. And feel free to remind us every single month of that because it does like slide by. Great. Okay, well, that I think is everything for Eco Heroes for now. Next thing up is ECPC.
Yeah, so who's in charge of ECPC? It's me, I guess. Yeah. So St. Remy went to BZA tonight. I talked a little bit about that. Planning worked extensively on what that remediation plan looks like. So I think in the letter, there are two big things. One of the big thing was extending the remediation around the entire pond. St. Remy doesn't own the far western part of the pond, so we made it, the St. Remy portions owned, we got it to that far. Do you guys recall what the second part?
It was either like, I think it was first, can we do the shorter access route?
Yes,
And then if
that's
you
what it was.
can't, can you
Yeah.
do it around the whole pond?
They said negotiations failed for the shorter access route. We did require as close to 1-for-1 replacement of wetland creation of what they were disturbing with the access route. We required, I think, 47 new tree plantings to account for what the exceedance of the tree preservation standards that were coming down. We did some wetland and riparian buffer plantings across the two streams there. I think that was mostly the remediation. Lots of communication over the past couple months about it. I'm hoping BZA approve it. So I'm glad I went to BZA tonight. Any questions about St. Remy? We have a meeting on Tuesday at lunch to talk about the old Iron Fell site across the street on Rogers at 503 North Rogers. A housing development is wanting to, I guess maybe clean it up and put some apartments there. So the standards that they are hoping to receive variances for that have environmental implications include landscaping as well as tree preservation. It's about a 5-acre site and they're wanting to clear cut about an acre of trees. So we're figuring out how to remediate that. We met with them today and their hope is to do a 1-to-1 square footage replacement of the tree canopy. The problem is they don't have enough room on site, so they're working with the city on Life Park's property on trying to get some impacts. So I will send out updated plans as soon as I receive them. They said they're hopefully sending it Monday afternoon, so it might be Tuesday morning, but I'll send that to you all. So I wanted to present this. This is the 2026 proposed calendar for ECPC, because as we have talked about, it's been quite messy this year, in trying to schedule stuff. So, I've talked with the planners in the department, and I'm hoping to distribute this to them prior, to the new year. So then whenever they work with petitioners, they know that if they're not meeting these deadlines, then it's going to be continued, and so the PCPC can have their eyes on something. So I put the BZA hearing date first, that's gonna be every month at 5:30. ECPC and staff meeting. Whenever I'm talking with staff, it's really hard for us to have an evening meeting where, we have, I think, 5 or 6 different planners that, they have various, life situations. So what was decided on was a lunch meeting. That's not super uncommon in our department to have these executive or working group meetings as lunch meetings. These would be in person only. And then I'm proposing for ECPC to meet without staff to discuss what that letter actually looks like if they want to write a letter. And then we would just need that letter by hopefully the revision deadline. Some of them don't, January, December, that don't work out because of the holidays. But the hope is that a letter is received prior to the revision deadline, so then the developers can see what ECPC has to say. And can maybe integrate some of those comments into that revision deadline and be presented to the BZA as such. Are there any questions about this timeline?
So these meetings would only happen if there was.
Yes, so if there's a relevant project, so if there's not, they're gonna be canceled. unless you guys want to meet about other things, I'm happy to keep them as scheduled. But yes, the intent is, oh, if there's, if easy as having a light month, you guys won't need to look over anything.
Thank you for putting this together.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and of course, I know I'm acknowledging not everybody can make a lunchtime meeting. Especially these are in person, so then you don't have the Zoom complications and having to invite pets and whatever else. So I'm hoping to send out I mean, everybody will have copies of the development plans. So then if there's questions, I'm happy to take a call, kind of back off, walk you through it. Or we can, if you email the comments, I can share that with, for the letter. Any other questions?
And looks like for the most part, it's a Thursday and then a Tuesday.
Yes,
Okay,
I try to keep it pretty consistent.
awesome. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, so I have rooms reserved, I'll put it on officially on the calendar if this seems fine with everybody. And of course, they can be rescheduled, during the day, it gets a little bit harder, but the evening meetings are easier to reschedule. So I think that's all I have for ECPC.
Thank you for that. Okay, and then we've got the light pollution group is the next one on the list.
We haven't met, but, I'm thinking maybe sometime after the holidays in the new year, like January, February, we can get something together and sort of rehash out what we're planning on doing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
With your new crew.
Yeah, the new group.
Love it. Okay. Special projects, well, everyone might be surprised, which was that we got a tablecloth, which is exciting because our tablecloth has been a champion and it is time to set that until we need an art project. So, yeah, so that's an exciting next step. And then, I have the tabling materials in my garage that I didn't grab on my way out. So they're still with me if you need any tabling materials for something. I don't know. Okay, and then water quality is the last one.
It looked like, I looked over the meetings from the last, or minutes from the last meeting, it looked like it got pretty adequately discussed what we covered at the last water quality meeting. But I don't know if this got brought up, but if you're interested in hearing about the preliminary, not public results of the water quality monitoring they did, that they came and talked to us about, but again, preliminary. Come talk to me afterwards and tell you that.
Yeah, interesting stuff.
Mhm.
All right, so we're on to the staff updates. Anything, Rachel, to share?
A reminder to reapply if you would like to be on the commission, after January 27th or something, 2026. The current administration wants us to review all, applications as they become vacant, or like terms become vacant or whatever. We do, yes,
The login system thing for applications, no.
that is new, it's a
Okay.
Indiana state law for my,
I was
it's
just
something
making
about,
sure I didn't
yeah.
forget that.
There is a new login system, so you'll have to have an account,
I just did that earlier.
yeah.
This has been like in the last 1 week. I swear I looked at it.
Within the last month, this has been
Okay.
part of like the integration of government websites going on to the Indiana firewall or something.
Oh, that's fine. It took me my work. I thought it was
Yes.
taking me my work.
No, it's been.
Wait, so if we did it before this new system went up, do we need to do it again?
I think just.
I
if
think
your
I did
term
it
is
right up, the term is coming up, but I filled it out, I think.
I can tell you who I have.
I have
an
been-
application from.
I did
Well,
this,
if I
right?
can pop through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so
I have
convenient.
application from Shannon, David, Carl, and then 3 external applicants. So if I did not say your name, I don't have one for you yet. I will recommend getting it to me by early to mid-December, because it does take some time for the council and mayor's office to approve them, so if you want to get the ball rolling by the end of January or February. I'll be reviewing those in the next few weeks.
Is there a preemptive assignment if they know that there is one coming up? If they're like, oh, it's gonna be empty in January, we'll go ahead and set somebody up to do it beforehand, or do they wait until?
If, I think they leave it up to the liaisons, honestly, so I keep track, and like, they have I forget his title, but some sort of like office of the mayor has a commissions person. And so whenever he sees an application, he sends me, I get an email already, but he's like, have you looked at this? And so I'm kind of holding applications until this new term, so everybody's kind of on the same page.
Great, thank you for that update. Folks, we have just a few moments, so we can, we can either push these final pieces to the next meeting, or we can vote to extend our meeting tonight.
I move to extend the meeting for up to 10 minutes to do a quick version of everything left on the agenda.
Okay, we do a quick vote on that then.
Probably,
Okay.
probably, who's that?
We need a second.
Second.
Okay,
Okay.
I don't do this, I think.
Yes.
Shannon got you.
Are you yay or nay to extend meeting 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Reluctant. Fair enough.
Just-
It doesn't have to go.
Take some cookies while you.
As delicious.
Yeah.
Mitchell Owens.
Yes.
David Parkhurst.
Why don't you call if you don't care either way?
Abstained.
Going on the record.
Heidi Brown. Abstained. Carrie
I
Albright.
vote yes.
Nadia Kane.
Yeah.
Matt Colby.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, great. Thanks, folks. We're gonna just quickly go through the reports of Tree Commission, ERAC, Friends of Lake Monroe. Actually, did you go to ERAC this?
I did not.
Okay, okay.
There's a bit.
I just always go straight to Dave. I'm like, wait, no, Adam might have something to say. Okay, then Dave, I'm gonna pass it to you for any updates you've got.
Tree Commission met this past Monday, very quick meeting mostly. We started out talking about, some, 8 trees coming out and 5 going in on Jefferson Street. The sidewalk on one side, between on the east side, between 8th and 10th Street on Jefferson. Then we went to the urban foresters report and just a couple of things from that. The city is working with a commercial outfit that I hadn't heard of before because they're new, called Native View. And they're planting 100 trees for us. There's a tree assistance program that I think is paid for by some grant. And that's offering trees to 19 people. And 15 of them weren't okay with the trees they were offered. And the other major thing that was in the urban foresters report was that there are gonna be some trees going in the downtown planters, the businesses downtown have been wanting that rather than the native plants that are growing in those planters.
Yeah.
And so there would be some trees going in that aren't too tall. And then I didn't have anything to report because we haven't met yet. And Mia Williams, who's the IU landscape architect, wasn't present. And I think she's gonna be retiring from the IU too. So. Then we had a report from Julie Roberts of Canopy Bloomington, and I didn't get any notes from that. Done.
Nice,
Sit down.
nice. And that's all your reports for the full shebang? Great.
Yeah, ERAC, I've already told you about its most recent meeting and Friends of Lake Monroe. The science committee met and I didn't bring my notes from. Excuse me, I didn't bring my notes from that, so I'm done.
Perfect. Thank you for the updates. Any updates on Becos?
Because met on Tuesday, they had a rather contentious meeting about minutes, about people's time, legal was involved, it was interesting. Ultimately, what happened at the end was they unanimously adopted a resolution to add "and resilience" to their title, so pending approval by city council. They will have more letters in their abbreviated name, and yeah, that's how much I'm gonna say.
Awesome, great, got it, got it. MC Iris?
Yeah, so they talked about, the reduce invasive species challenge and just, helping provide funding for people to remove invasives and replant them. They talked about the weed wrangles. The big item of discussion was the tool kit baggies with herbicide supplies. So they want to put, I think they've done this before, but they wanna put together, more baggies. So people feel, empowered to use herbicides, on invasive species. And so there was somebody that noted that DuBois County is giving away actual glyphosate in their kit. They feel hesitant about doing that just because of, the implications of providing something to somebody and using it properly. And then they talked about, the winter sowing events on, January 19th. The notes do not say where that event will be, and then, they always talk about the native plant sale, so. So,
Sounds good, and do they have the date on that?
yes, I just closed it, and I think it's the first Saturday in September.
Okay.
For all these.
So plenty of time to get our ducks in a row. Great, and then anything from the Clean Community Program?
I know there's a big annual like statewide meeting for the Clean Community Program. I wasn't able to attend. Were you? No, okay. Yeah.
We are really close to getting silver, is
Yes.
that what,
That's the next one up. Yeah, we're like one
project.
logged project away.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
that should happen soon and then. Yeah, cool.
Cool, sounds good. For commissioner announcements, I know that we've got something here that was sent through from Norm. Do you have a sense of if Norm wanted to?
No, he just said he wanted an announcement, so I'm not sure what that.
Is there any other commissioner announcement that would be worth sharing tonight while we have just moments?
I'm about to click apply.
Yes. Stay with us. Okay. Great. Well, we have our next meeting, December 18th. Last time, we all talked about that date being a date that works for us. As I've said repeatedly, and I will continue to say, if you can't make it, please shout it from the rooftops. And if enough of us can't make it, we should change the plan. So the 18th, 3rd, I think it's just the normally scheduled date.
That's the day before graduation.
We'll make it super, super low key, I promise.
Sounds like you'll have an announcement at that meeting.
That I'm graduating?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Great, okay, well, it's 8:04 and I officially.
Move the adjourn.
Move we adjourn, let's